What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. I hope you're having an amazing weekend. My name is John Guerra, and this is the GuerrainDawn show. Without further ado, let's get straight into the episode.
I can't go on like this, just dwelling on it.
Like this,
Used to be, I can fix these halls and patch these walls, but there's no
Let's get straight into the episode, guys.
Fantastic. It's been so long since we've done a solo episode. I can't even remember. I don't remember the last time we did this. Probably 6 months ago, I'd say. No, honestly, that's not even close. But we are here. We are here. I look a little silly. I know I got the little, I have a little, I don't know what's going on. I like changing the little outfits, giving people something visual to look at. So you check it out. Check it out. Get a quick little look. I don't want you to be distracted looking at me the whole episode. But sometimes you can't resist. Things have been wild lately. Things have been going crazy. I'm sure for everyone it has. We're getting close to summertime, summertime. Some people have that summertime sadness, as they can say. Some people don't. That's not for me to judge on. But school's been coming along for me. I'm one semester away from getting out of there, grabbing that bachelor's and getting out of there. I'm planning on doing an internship during the summer. I'm doing my, I'm a student assistant right now for a creative marketing job that I have, and that's been going along. It's starting to change a little bit, little course redirection, but it's always good to see the other side of things. We had a lot of creative freedom for a while, and now it's going to be a lot of the corporate side of things. So it's always good to have experience in both of them. It's always good to have experience overall, especially since I'm almost out to get into the real world, as some could say. I want to have experience in everything and not just more of that someone holding my hand. I never wanted that. I always like it to where I can figure it out myself, which I still will ask for help. I think it's a very crucial thing as a student, especially because they're still in that growth period, is to ask for help. You don't want to try to do it all yourself all the time. Yes, give yourself the chance to do it yourself, but find the little moments where you can ask for help. I will say that. I've been stressing a little bit too, I wasn't stressing for a while, but things have been really, at the end of every semester, I would say that there's a little bit of that action, little action where things get a little wild. Things get a little silly, a little crazy, where you have to kind of lock in a little bit. Lock in. I'm saying a lot, and I don't like that. I don't like saying filler words like that. But I am currently, my computer doesn't download InDesign. I'm going to go on a little rant right now. I'm sorry. My computer doesn't download InDesign, and I need InDesign. I need it for the rest of my assignments because in my class, commercial publications, the first half is all Photoshop projects. The second half is all InDesign projects. My computer downloaded Photoshop, no problems. Assignments done, no problem. But I cannot do the InDesign ones. My computer just says it cannot download on this device. So now, for the rest of the semester, I have to go in person and sit down in the computer lab and do my assignments. I have to sit there the whole time in the computer lab doing the assignment. And it's just uncomfortable. It's a very uncomfortable situation. There's a big difference between me being at home, doing it, working on my stuff. I like doing homework, projects, editing, that kind of stuff. I like doing it at night, like late at night. I do it like at 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night. I just put something on the TV and I sit back and I just start working on it. I start editing, doing the graphic design projects, that kind of stuff. The computer lab closes at 7 p.m. I work during the day. I do. I only have one day, and that's because one of my work days got moved to another day. So I have Thursday off. Thursday is the only day I have off, and I'm still working remote for my my UTSA job there. But besides that, it's going to be really difficult for the rest of the semester for me to find the amount of time, and this just isn't a few hours. These assignments are going to take me hours of sitting down to get them done. So yeah, that's been a little stress on my mind lately. And the only thing is that every semester, school has been like the last thing on my mind. Everything else I'm doing, like I'm doing the podcast, my jobs, those are my priorities because those are like the things that are hitting me. The school thing, I could just relax at the end of the day, sit back and just work on some assignments remote. It's not that bad. But the rest of this stuff has been my priority. And now like it's like school's it's forcing itself on me. It's like, no, you're gonna pay attention to me. You're gonna make me the priority. And by doing that, it's making everything else that I'm working on difficult. And I'm getting really stressed. And I don't know about y'all when it comes to stress. And today, this episode is about stress, by the way. I know you probably saw the title. This episode is about stress. For me, it's very much like everything kind of collapses on me. And I feel like I'm in a house and the roof fell. And I'm just kind of like stuck. Like I'm like a little squirrel. I'm like a little squirrel just stuck in the corner. And everything just fell on top of me. And it's like I have nowhere to go and I'm just surrounded. That's how I feel. I feel like I'm cornered. But it's like my mind zones out. I zone out and I just start thinking about it and I feel the stress like fall on me. But then I kind of remind myself, I'm like, it's going to be okay. And I think sometimes we all have to remind ourselves, it's going to be okay. We just need to relax. Deep breaths. The word deep, like the saying, take a deep breath is it's so underestimated because it does miracles. When you take a deep breath, it settles your body down. And sometimes our mind wants to think the worst thing and wants to think the worst thing's going to happen. And it wants to stress us out. So it tries to get us, it tries to attack us, but we got to and relax. And I think that's something I try to remind myself to do. That's something I tell people about. So it's like, if I'm telling people things, I got to work on that as well. Like I got to take my own advice if I'm going to be giving that to other people. Who am I to not listen to myself when I expect other people to listen to me, right? So I take my deep breaths and I'm just like, I tell myself, it's going to be okay. All right. Someone once told me this as well. I don't know if they originated this quote, but it was that you can only control what's around you, what you can touch. That's all you can control. So this computer, I have assignments on this computer. I can work on that. I'm not at the computer lab right now, so I can't be stressing about it. I can't be like, oh, I got to get there. I could schedule the time for me to get there tomorrow. Well, this is going to be out. Thursday would have already passed. Not August. Oh my gosh. April 2nd would have already passed by the time this comes out. But I'm going to go to the computer lab for eight hours probably. I'm going to be just sitting there working on stuff. And then I'm going to come home and I'm going to work like 5 more hours for the job remote. But it's like, that's not there. That isn't here right now. I'm not at the computer lab right now. So I can't be stressing about something I can't control right now. And I feel like sometimes we got to remind ourselves, it's like, all right, one thing at a time. I'm focused on this right now. I'm going to do this the best I can for this amount of time that I'm doing it. And then I'm going to go to this. All right, then I'm going to go to this. And it's like in a way of, I always used to say, like when I was doing stuff, I would, like when I get very, very stressed out, I would kind of shut off my mind and turn into a robot, like being robotic. And I just work on what I was working on. And then when the next thing came, worked on it. Next thing came, worked on it. And in that way, it's like, you don't think, oh, I have this, it's going to go bad, I'm going to mess up. But you want to think that way. You want to think the worst. That's how our minds are. We want to think the worst is going to happen. But sometimes you really got to be optimistic and you got to believe something better could happen. You got to believe that there's something better coming. But at the same time, don't be confused here. When I say you got to relax and just believe that something better could happen, that doesn't mean that you just forget about the problem and pretend it's not there. We have to address the problem. That has to be addressed. Whatever is your obstacle, you cannot pretend it's not there. It's simple as that. As stressful as it is, as hard as it is, as much uncomfortable pressure may be putting on you, you cannot just pretend it's not there. You have to address it and you have to slowly break it down. All right? I'm not saying, oh, we got to get rid of this in a day. That's a hard task to ask. All right? That's a very hard task to be like, you have to get rid of this in a day. When I go to the computer lab and I try to do all these assignments that I haven't been able to do, me saying I'm going to do this all in a day, that's me saying a lot. All right? That's me putting all this pressure on myself and just saying it. When it could be like, all right, I'm going to do these assignments today. I'm going to stop the bleeding. I'm going to do these assignments. I'm going to stop the bleeding. All right, now we're not behind by this much anymore. We're behind by this much. And it's like, oh, well, that's not that bad. I could come in another day next week. And now we're only behind by one assignment now. Hey, oh, I have 2 hours. Let me just go to the computer lab real quick and do this one assignment. Now we're caught up. So all this, I'm working back. All of that, we caught up now because I relaxed, deep breath, and I'm like, I'm going to fight my way out of this. I'm going to fight my way out of this. You don't jump out of the hole, you climb out of the hole. Remember that. People don't, we're not superheroes, you know? We don't take that super jump out of that hole that we fell in. We climb out of it, and climbing takes time. It's not one maneuver, it's multiple. I feel like that's something we need to remember every now and then. Yeah. So talking about stress, first time in a good while. So I don't think we've done this in a few years, probably like 4 years. But I actually, I requested for on my social media for people to say what they're stressing about. What is their biggest stress right now? And we got some replies from y'all, and we're gonna read some of them off, and I'm gonna give my thoughts and my opinions on it, and just relate to it for y'all. I feel like sometimes when we're stressing a lot, especially in this age, like the age we're at, when you're about to get out of college, you feel like there's this eye on you, like, oh, you need to grow up. You need to stop talking about all these things. You need to be ready. And I think in our minds, we think we need to be ready. We can't be stressing anymore. We can't be worrying anymore. Like we have to have it figured out now. So it's like in a way you can't talk about those stresses sometimes, And I get it. I get it. I feel like that sometimes too. Like you look around, some people they seem like they have it figured out. I'm telling you, they don't. They don't. And it's like as I grow older, I realize that it's not that I have it figured out. It's just I have a better idea. I don't have it figured out. I just have a better idea now. And it's like every year that changes. So and I'm not saying I have everything figured out. I definitely don't. Like I'm not even going to pretend that that's true. I do not. But I get better ideas as I go along. Now let's get straight into these questions. First person said biomechanics. No, biomechanics. Biomechanics is, that sounds already hard enough. The study of structure, function, and motion of living organisms such as human animal cells using mechanical principles of physics. I was actually not too bad at physics in high school. That was like the only math I actually did decent at. The rest I wasn't good. I was really bad at math, but it was just because my mind didn't care for it. I liked math early on when I could find different ways to solve it. But once there was like a set of rules for me to solve it, I just didn't like it anymore. And that's my opinion. That's very opinionated and biased for me to say that. I know a lot of people love math. I just didn't fancy it like that. But, it's the fact that you're able to learn that is impressive enough. A lot of people don't know that. And, I'm assuming you've done this for a good while. And yeah. So just keep your head up. Good luck. Get it done. Get it done. Like I said earlier, believe that something better could happen. I love saying that. That's such a great thing to say. It just feels so nice coming out of me because I feel it. Like when I say it, believe that something better could happen. I feel it. I just feel it. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see what else we have. Not being fully prepared when it matters most. Boy, that's a good one. That's a good one, and I feel like we all share that. Not being fully prepared when it matters most. No, let's raise our hands. Who stresses about that sometimes, right? I stress about that. That's something that comes in my mind. When it matters most, when it's that big moment, do you feel like you're ready for it? Do you feel like you're going to be ready? And if you ask me, my opinion on that is I don't think anyone's ready. I don't think anyone's ever ready until the moment happens. And then I think like you have to kind of figure it out in the moment. It's like they say come game time, there's certain things you just Practice isn't going to teach you certain things. You learn it in the game. There's certain things you just have to see in the game and you figure it out then. And that's how I feel like the big moments, like that's the job, the big job. You get the big job. Are you ready for it? No one's ever ready until they're ready. I feel like there's always going to be certain things you have to figure out during the moment that you're just not going to be able to learn. And I feel like we always want to believe we're not ready because we're always focusing on what we don't have rather than what we do have, especially in characteristics. We're like, oh, well, I'm very charismatic, but I'm not very, my IQ isn't too high. Oh, well, I'm very athletic, but I'm not the greatest public speaker. So it's like we always want to worry about what we don't have, and we forget all the characteristics we do. All the credentials that we do carry with us. We don't acknowledge them. And it's very interesting why we don't do that. And I notice I don't do that either. You always want to think about what you're lacking in working on the stuff we don't have. And sometimes we got to be a little bit more grateful for the things we do. And I'm not talking about all y'all. I don't want to throw this on y'all. I am talking about myself. I am definitely putting my hand up that is something that happens to me. And I think sometimes we got to realize the stuff we've already had, the things that we've already gone through, and the resume that we've built, not just for a job, but as a human being, the things we've gone through. And I overall just really think that no one ever is fully ready for our big moment. And that we always just have to figure it out a little bit more when it happens. But yeah, that was a good one. That was a really good one. Here's another one right here. I'm afraid to fail. That is another one that we all share. Everyone's afraid to fail. Even the ones that aren't, they're a little bit. I failed a lot. I mean, you think about it. I want you to think about how many times you've failed. Because failed is perception. It's up to what you consider. And nothing's really a failure. Nothing's really a failure. You're always learning something overall. And I want you to just, let's sit back for a second. I'm going to give us 3 seconds and let's reflect. How many times have we failed? How many times has something not gone our way? Here's those few seconds for y'all. I thought of a lot right there. I gave y'all like 2 seconds and I thought of a lot. I failed a lot. I've failed more times than I've succeeded. If you gave me a lot, if I had to make a graph of how many times I've failed to succeeded, that failure one is going to be so big you won't even be able to see the succeeded one. You're going to have to zoom out so much to see the whole failure. You can't even see the succeed. But it's a learning process, right? They always say that you don't ever go to bed thinking about your failures. You think about the opportunities you don't take. You think about the moments that you decided not to go for. And sometimes we get a little scared. We get a little scared of failing that we forget. We forget that that's the biggest part of everything, is going for it, taking that risk. Because you're creating a moment. And at the end of the day, moments is all we ever really have. The only thing that ever belongs to us is moments in time. Everything else is borrowed. So why not? Why are we so afraid to fail? And I'm asking myself that question too. I don't want y'all to think I'm just kind of scolding you on that. I'm asking myself that very question. Why are we so afraid to fail? Let's reflect on that. As I keep talking, let's reflect on that. We're going to move forward. Something else I want to talk about. People ask me sometimes is why are you so open with people? And I'm very open. I think it's very important. And I'm not saying I'm going to tell you every single thing about my life, but I will open up to you very quickly about stuff. I'll tell you how things are going, and I do it so that I feel, this is what I think, is that when you're open with people, you give them the opportunity to feel like they don't have to pretend to be someone else. Like they don't have to hide a shield in front of them. When you're showing them that they could be vulnerable in that moment with you, and that they could say what they actually think and how they're actually feeling, rather than having to act like they have to be tough or hide all these things, I feel like it creates an environment of comfort, an environment of, okay, I'm actually going to put my best foot forward rather than kind of being hesitant with this stuff. And this goes with everything, a relationship, work, friendships, anything. Anything that involves cooperation with people. You always want to make sure that that person's putting the best foot forward, and that happens when you feel like you're comfortable to fail or you're comfortable to be open. So that's a big thing why I do that, and I just feel like I would be fake if I pretended to be anything else. I would be a liar and fake to everyone if I was acting any way else than that. Because that's the way I feel. I feel like when I talk, I want to talk with purpose. I want to say things that are actually true. And it's like I'm not doing that if I'm holding this shield and trying to put on a persona that it just isn't real. And I don't want to be like that with y'all. I don't want to be like that with anyone. So I feel like that's just a big thing for us is we should all just work on a little bit more on being open with people, being just kind of giving them that space to where they can be like that rather than putting up this guard all the time. And I know it's hard. I know it's hard. Some people are going to say that you don't know what I've gone through. I don't like people, and I get it. I've seen it. I've seen it many times. People are given every reason not to like people. One bad apple does not spoil the bunch. It doesn't. It may be a bad apple, but it's still an apple. It's still a human being, like every other one. It just had a hard time. It had a hard time. I try to remind myself, I'm like, I look at people and I'm like, that person grew up. That person had a childhood. That person was a kid. And they just had a hard time. Something happened along the way that just made them see things the way they see it, made them act the way they act. That could be a hard thing to get in your mind. Sometimes we get so frustrated, we get so angry, and we just can't see the other side of things. That's how it is. That's really how it be sometimes. But I just, it's good to be open-minded about that kind of stuff and really consider and think to yourself that that person probably had a lot of experiences like me. They just took it a different way. Maybe they didn't get the good ending like I did. Maybe they didn't get lucky like I did. And you got to consider that kind of stuff. And you got to just really understand that a lot of times people act the way they do for a reason. Something happened. But yeah. Anyways, guys, that's it for today. I really appreciate you who listened all the way. And even if you listen for 1 or 2 seconds, I really do appreciate it. I love all y'all. And I'll see y'all next time. It was fun being able to talk to y'all for a solo episode. Y'all have a good one.
Burning memories till